Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Talking Painting Talking Painting show, which is also the Veneto.fm podcast or whatever you might want to call it. But yeah, I think I'm going to feature that painting or like piece of art that I made in every episode. So I guess you could call this Veneto Gallery also. I think it's Veneto Gallery is a nice name, but I will probably give it another title on YouTube too. So this is the truth about alchemy, is what the episode is called, and I thought that I wanted to talk a little bit about a mentor of mine also called Richard Rudd, because he does deserve some credit for this alchemy topic because he talked about it in his book, The Gene Keys. And I really love that book, and yeah, so welcome to the episode. So it's right now. I wanted to make this talk to honor you, everybody who are out there, because to be honest, I have been thinking quite a bit about life, life in a new way, because it's really these times that we are going through. They are pretty difficult, I would say. I don't really want to even go there to talk about why these times are so difficult. I think we get enough of that in the news and the media. They talk every day you watch TV or read the news. It's just a lot of negative things happening. So yeah, I guess I needed to say that we need something else to kind of focus on and to get through these difficult times together, I think. So yeah, this is the truth about alchemy. And yeah, I guess I should start with. I did do some research on like what to talk about, and I actually think this is pretty cool. This talking painting kind of art concept that I found through lots of experimentation actually, and just doing a lot of computer art lately. So I think that this is a pretty cool concept that I came up with. So yeah, I guess that the painting says the divine play. I think I'm going with this one. I did make a few different kinds of variations on it, but I think I'm going with this the divine play. And the divine play, it's a concept from I think Eastern traditions, and it means it's really something that I've used and thought about to kind of, I guess, to help navigate through the difficulties of life, really, because the divine play means that it's just all a big theater or like a big soap opera that God put himself into, and now God is the only thing that exists, and God is every conscious being in this universe. So I guess that this concept really can bring a lot of like valuable, like it can really be something to use to live easefully And I think because I've been doing yoga and meditation for 10 years, actually, I'm celebrating now my 10 years of being a meditator and kind of being on the spiritual path since I was 18 and I'm 28 now. So I think that this concept of divine play is one of the most profound insights that I ever had, and it truly means that everything that is in our experience, because in Sanskrit there's this word called, I think the word is britta, but please don't make this into official translation because it's not an official translation because I'm not really a Sanskritist that much. But anyway, it just might be correct that britta means the content. So it's basically all thoughts or sensual experience, like all that is sensed through the five senses, and like it's all every good feeling you might have or every negative feeling you might have. It's all the content of experience that we are having. So I think all that is kind of relative, right? Like everything that we experience, the divine play, the concept of lila or lila, kind of it denotes that everything that we experience is Britta, right? Because Britta means all of experience, all thoughts, all beliefs, everything that the mind does, everything that is sensed in the physical universe. So I think the divine play kind of brings on this point that this is all relative, right? And there is also existence in the field of nothingness, which is that we exist also in nothingness, which means that ultimately this is what Richard also calls the water eye, which is the realization and the kind of feeling that we get when we understand that all of life is just a play, and even if bad things happen, in the most absolute way, that is ultimately pretty okay. Even the worst of circumstances are okay because it's just all a play. It's like a comedy also, all of existence that God is literally putting himself through for his own choice. So the true self is really something, the actual self that we are is actually accepting of everything because it actually chose it consciously to go through all of experience in infinity. And in infinity there's obviously everything that can happen. So there's animals, humans, there's negative experiences, there's positive experiences, and it's all just a big manifestation of God's love. So the divine play really is a cool concept that I've learned and thought about, and it means that it's just all a play. So even bad things, like even the most kind of heartbreaking things, they can be put into a context in this way that ultimately living and dying, it's all part of this big karmic cycle that the universe is going through and we are getting to experience it. And I think it also relates to what actually I heard from Haresh, Christopher Wallis, who is also a teacher of mine like Richard is, that what was I trying to say? I'm kinda having a hard time with my short-term memory for some reason. Uh, Haresh he told me this that in the ultimately the tantric practitioner or the tantrika also embraces and accepts his own death, his or her own death. So even death is okay, and this brings us to the myth of reincarnation. Because if you think of reincarnation, it's like a word, and if you look at the kind of etymology of it. Is incarnation real? Like, is incarnation real? I tend to have this weird logic about things. So, is incarnation real? Well, we are all incarnations of infinite divine consciousness. That is what the best gurus are telling, that we are all incarnations of divine consciousness. So at least incarnation is true. So why couldn't it be so that reincarnation is also true? Like the Buddhists and the tantric scholars and the gurus teach. So I definitely do believe these days that life is actually infinite. So I believe in incarnation and I believe in reincarnation. Just like we could think like, is infinity true? Yeah, infinity is true. It's like reality is infinity. So yeah, like Deepak Chopra argues in his book called, I think it's called Afterlife or something. He said that the burden is proof is on us. So there it is really, and there's also like this pretty nerdy theory about the strange loop, and it's something along the lines of that I am a strange loop or you are a strange loop, and it means that we are kind of this object that is creating itself. Like, it's really laughing that is funny if you think about it. Like, what's funny? It's funny that there is such thing as laughing. So the strange loop, and there's this like mathematical theorem, which is, if I understand it correctly, it means that some things are true, but they can never be proven, or that proof is not a given, even for things that are true. And it means that there might be true things that are absolutely non-provable. And that's actually the incom- in- incompleteness theorem from the book, also explained in the book Gödel Escher Bach, which is a pretty happy book, I think. And I think that during these times it's very important to do that thing that makes us happy, because we really do deserve to be happy. I think that that's why we are alive, to experience the joy of existence and all the good things in life. And for me, right now, it's creating this talking painting kind of artwork that I have been coming up with and kind of discovered by accident. So right now, for me, the joy is in the creation of this. And I do think that, because the most money we will ever have in business is like when we have been doing it for a long time. But when we are in the end of our business journey, we would probably just want to do it all over again. That's what the people who actually got rich also are saying, that they would trade all their money in order to be again in the beginning of their business journey. And this is why I think it's so important to uh, enjoy the process and make the process as good as possible. Because really, if you think about history, if you make business and create a lot of valuable things, then you will get wealthy somewhere along the way. And it's important to also maximize your happiness in the present moment, I think, and really put yourself in the frame of mind that today is an enjoyable day. And right now is a good moment to exist in, and this present moment is actually quite precious, even if we don't yet make millions of euros per year like some of our business mentors might be making a lot of money each year. But to make good business, it's not about money. I do think that money it does play a role in good business, but if you're like a business artist, like I like to think of myself as, then it's not really about the money. It's about the creation. Like it's about for me, like what am I saying right now to bring value to everybody who is watching watching online and listening to this talk right now. So this talk might make me 10 euros or 1 euro. Probably it will make me like 1 euro of cash. But do I want to think of this like this is worth 1 euro of cash, this video? No, no, no. This video might be worth, if I make it really good and I make it as good as possible, it might be worth to someone 1,000 euros, this video, or it might be worth to someone 10 euros. So it's not really the value of the business, is that how much it is creating in revenue right now. That's not the value of the business. The value of the business is its intrinsic value. And this is actually what the best investors know also, that the market value of the company right now, it's not its intrinsic value. Its intrinsic value is that which is created through the medium of the business. So if you make a good song and at first 100 people listen to it, then is the value of that one song 100 streams? No, it's not the value of the song that it has 100 streams, it's just how many streams it's got. So the value of creating one video, you can think of every video, if you really like make it as good as possible, that its intrinsic value is a lot higher. What if it helps someone start a business, and what if it helps someone really, what if it helps someone to earn 100 euros but you only make 1 cent of that exchange because it's just streamed once and you're giving it away for free? So if you make like 1,000 euros in business per year, I think that that is already you're probably giving a lot at that point if you are making 100 euros per year in passive income. Like that's not enough even to get rich if you're making like 1,000 euros in passive income every year. But you're probably giving a lot of value still. So it's good to ground yourself in your actuality, the actuality of your business, and not some metric that is not really so. And if you think of some businesses that make a lot of money, some of those businesses are actually, I do think that they are negative in their value to the world. They are actually not productive companies at all. So there's like businesses out there that they might be exploiting other people, like really exploitative businesses, and they might be making a lot of money. And I think over here on Veneto.fm and my ideas and my style, I do really think that it's conscious to create a business that is productive and not some business that is like counterproductive or like really negative in what it is doing. For example, there's a lot of rich people, like if you think of like Vladimir Putin, for example, he really is a negative influence on the world. And you could say Donald Trump, I do definitely say Donald Trump is another one who has a negative influence on the world and others around him, and he makes lots of money. So it's not like your business is worth its revenue. Although revenue is still pretty important if you are, for example, a full-time entrepreneur or just don't have that much money, and even if you have money, revenue is still important. Don't get me wrong, it's still super important to have cash flow. But to be honest, if you make 1 cent, you just might have changed a life because sometimes one sentence can really turn someone else's life around. Or one concept, if you are, for example, sharing something that is really valuable and you are earning 1 cent from the share of it, then is your business worth 1 cent because it generates 1 cent in revenue? No, your business is worth a lot. You're doing a lot of good, possibly with, like, if you write a free blog post that changes the life of someone forever for the better, then is the value of that blog post zero because it's free? No, 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 no. The value of that blog post might be €1 million, even though you make no revenue off of it. So it's good to think of your days like this, that today is a day that you can do something kind to someone, or you can really change a life today, especially with the internet, because of how modern technology works, how you can literally share something to 1,000 people pretty easily. If you want 1,000 people to watch your video that you are making about something really productive or something really awesome, then you can market it with just simple, like use a, I think, what do you call these, like Meta and Google and these companies, like ad engines. You can advertise and market your video to 1,000 views. So 1,000 people will watch the whole video. You can do it that for a relatively cheap price. So you can literally help out 1,000 people these days online pretty easily. And can you just imagine doing that in person, like in a live setting? It would be so much more difficult, I think, to talk to 1,000 people. But if you just use technology well, you can target people who are in their homes, they are in a nice set and setting or a nice state of mind to listen to you. There ought to be 1,000 people who want to hear what you have to say. So you can literally change 1,000 lives today if you make the right piece of content and market that to 1,000 people, which shouldn't cost you that much. So that's really the potential of modern technology and just these devices that we all have at our hands. So I think it's really important to capitalize on this opportunity and create something that is really awesome. And I do believe that creating something that is really awesome and like amazing art, that's not reserved for some other that has talent or like some natural born gifts. It's really for everybody who just wants to do it. Like Christopher Haresh Wallis said, that truth is for everybody who wants to know it, and all it takes is a desire. And I do think that this is also creating wealth, doing business, and changing the lives of others for the better. It's for everybody who simply wants to do it and has the authentic desire to do something great. Then that's already a great act. Is to have a real desire to help people and create beautiful music, for example, or any art for that sense. So I do think that being a business person, for example, in this sense, it's really for everybody. It's not reserved for those with talent, for someone else, not me, right? It's you. You who are listening, you are capable of creating something truly awesome if you just want to do it. Like that's the beauty of life, really, and the simplicity of it. That we can all make a difference, and to be honest, it's quite quite easy to do these days with all this technology and hands. You can record yourself, you can talk, you can write a book, you can create a non-profit organization that serves the world. You can do all these kinds of cool things that you might not have considered before. And this is what I've learned during my years of business. It's really just me sitting in front of my computer, and then I suddenly realized, like, what if I were a millionaire right now that would have changed the lives of 1 million people? It would still be me sitting in front of my computer. So who knows that how many lives I've touched already? And I don't remember the specific mystic who talked about this. I think it was Neale Donald Walsh, and he said that God knows that we can really touch other people if we live right and we just trust our inner compass and our inner intuitions, then we can really make a difference in the lives of other people. Derek Sivers, who is also a mentor of mine, he said that live for others, and it's lot cooler that way. And Deepak Chopra also said this, that he has no personal ambition anymore because he's old, right? So he's old enough that he really doesn't need anything for himself anymore. He literally has been chosen to be like in Time listing, like the most influential person of the year or something. And he said that he has no more personal ambition because he probably just got enough success for himself that he doesn't really need any more. So yeah, just think about that. How cool is that? That someone is so successful that he doesn't even want any more success. Like literally, you get so much money that you wouldn't need any more. So I think that's the potential of everybody who truly wants to give and wants to create something beautiful. Is that it's not reserved for those with talent or skill or beauty or anything like that. Like you don't have to be born a specific way. You don't have to be the right ethnicity, or you don't have to like have good looks or anything like that. It's just you want it, you can have it. That's how life works, I think. And I do think that this is pretty fair in the sense that we all got a lot of opportunities like this. Oh, I was always thinking when I was growing up that I would be a motivational speaker because I just really enjoyed like motivational talks back then. I looked at these people, and there was even this one guy whose name I can't remember, who had this motivational speaker school for people who want to talk motivational speeches on stage. So the guy had started his whole like curriculum and like academic like to get a diploma and everything for being a motivational speaker, and I used to subscribe to his mailing list. I think it's like Youth Speaker Academy. I cannot remember the guy's name, but probably the company was called Youth Speaker Academy, and it was like a motivational speaking school. And I did like read all his free content, didn't even subscribe to him for a paid plan anyway. I really got inspired by that, and I thought that I would be one day speaking on a stage to thousands of people, like giving this motivational speech. And now I'm just giving this speech to you guys here on YouTube, and it's a lot simpler and easier than to put together an event and market it to everybody and take a huge risk if anyone's coming or not. Probably people would come if you just tell them what it's about and give them a nice offer for a cheap price. Probably people would come. That's actually why I think that some businesses are so successful. It's really due to how many cool clients there are. Like one of the key factors of having a successful business is to have a really good client base of like good people who are supporting you. It's not really due to the business person himself, like the founder or the CEO, but it's really due to the funds of the business. Like I think that trance music is so big and huge these days as it is, because I've been listening to trance music for all my life, and it's really a big deal these days. It's due to the fans. It's all thanks to how committed the fans are listening every week. It's not really thanks so much thanks to the DJs and the producers. Like sure, they are also important, but I think that it's all about the crowd who is coming to the concerts. So I think my business is also as successful as it is due to there being cool people out there who are actually giving their time to me. Because, yeah, people have literally listened to me for like 10,000 hours. Like, not one person, but as a collective, kind of. Everybody who's been listening to me has been like, there's lots of hours that I have been streaming for. And I really do think, didn't expect it when I was starting my business. I didn't really expect people to be so cool towards me. I thought that I would like have nobody who's interested in what I have to say and such. So yeah. Now I'm not sure what would be the optimal length for this episode, but let's try to actually make this 1 hour long because usually when I cut the tape, then something comes up. I'm like, I should have made it longer. Although talking all the time, it takes actually some effort, especially for someone like me who has been like producing music in silence, like not talking. Because I remember when I was young, I was really talking a lot, and then I started to make music, and that was the end of my social life, basically. Pretty funny. Actually, funny thing what happened to my social life, I will share this, is that we started to kind of, I started to kind of get into some bad habits when socializing. Like, I think you can relate with this if you like, for example, drinking alcohol and being social is like, for me, it became the same thing. We were always getting drunk. Like, I was always getting drunk when I was social. And yeah, always drunk. So, yeah, always drunk when social. So, that's why I kind of started to go like into my aloneness, because I really started to know that if I keep drinking alcohol all the time, then my life is going to be a mess. So I know there's many people out there who are like really successful and have their backgrounds in like drug use or alcohol use, and then they kind of turn everything around. And sure, there's also people who are like functional alcoholics who are like make a lot of money, for example, and work always don't get like work as lawyers and doctors and stuff like that, and then they get high and get drunk. And actually, I heard from Mark Manson's podcast. Shout out to Mark Manson and everybody who's his follower also. So I heard from this podcast he was interviewing a Rich Roll, this guy who's a podcaster, and he was an alcoholic who turned into an ultra athlete in his 40s. So that's what I found pretty cool. That he was always drinking vodka and then he discovered ultra and 12-step program and quit getting high and drunk and started to do sports instead, like ultra, which really interests me because I really like endurance sports these days. Because yeah, I think they just release a lot of like feel good hormones and they are good for challenging yourself. And there's this thing called the runner's high, which gives you like this extremely good feeling when you are doing something that takes a lot of endurance. So yeah, so Rich Roll he kinda, and uh, for me quitting alcohol meant that I had to be alone a lot. And I did read all these books about also Cal Newport's deep work. I read about I read it and he was like, you have to be alone with your work a lot in order to pretty much make it the best it can be. Because probably he argumented it with that the world needs your great work and to make it great means that you have to spend a lot of time with it and that's mostly a lonely process. So literally I became more alone. I I didn't hang out with friends as much talking, but I started to produce music and literally I've been producing music for a few years and Rick Belt also talked about this the guitar teacher that he had this funny saying that you are you are you are then you realize after a few years that you've been just making music writing songs in your home and you don't like have a life anymore because you kind of forget about everything else. So that's how it really went for me. That I used to live a lot differently and then I started to really focus on work and it's not the most social thing to do and I really did spend almost a few years in silence, like not talking that much, maybe calling my dad once a week or something and other than that not really talking, not with my mouth anyway, just writing and creating music and not using my mouth to talk, right? And now this making this podcast, it just feels like the most social thing ever, although it's still not in person socializing, but really it feels, to be honest, it feels weird to use my mouth to talk again this long. It's just like the muscles in my mouth are literally feeling like I'm like discovering new. It's like hitting the gym if you haven't gone to the gym for 2 years. It really hurts at first. So making this podcast and talking is like a lot of strain on my jaw muscles, right? So just to save my jaws, I will probably leave you with this. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Veneto Gallery, and this has been the truth about alchemy or the divine play, whatever you want to name it as, or I want to. And be sure to check out my blog over on veneto.fm and join the mailing list so I can track how many of you out there are interested in what I have to say and join the mailing list and be sure to hit that like for me. It truly helps out a lot. And Leave me a subscribe also if you like to hear more. And I'll see you the next time. Bye bye. Bye bye.